Hi, Annie here, and today I'm talking about noir for newbies, or noir for those that haven't watched noir, much noir or noir before, or don't kind of know much about the genre. So I'm going to recommend a few movies. Anything that I've already done a review on will be linked below in the description box. This is part of my kind of November extravaganza, shall we call it, and I'm putting up new videos every Monday through Friday, so there's been lots going on, lots of posts, other noir posts and Christmas craft series and other videos as well, so lots to look for. If you're interested in finding out more about my giveaway, check out the first video from the month, which will also be linked below so you can find all the information you need. So anyway, I'm going to get on with it, and the first film I want to talk about is Double Indemnity. Now, I did do a whole separate kind of video on this one, but I did want to talk a little bit about why I think it would be a good one for if you haven't kind of watched noir before. This one isn't a film that I feel like you need to know more about the genre, or there's a lot of callbacks to things outside of the film, but like that are common within the genre. So I think that for this one, it won't seem crazy weird either if you haven't watched noir before, because I feel like some noirs have elements to them that are just going to seem really super bizarre. And although this one may have a little bit of that to it, I feel like the familiar faces of Edward G. Robinson and Barbara Stanwyck and Fred MacMurray kind of even a little bit of that out. And also just the fact that, you don't need, like I said, it's not a complicated plot. It's very well explained and laid out. It's not too dark, and it kind of flows really nicely. It's an excellent movie in general, but I think if you're new to noir, it is the epitome of the noir genre. But I think that if you are looking for an easy way in, it's also kind of a really good place to start, because not only is it one of the best, but it also kind of doesn't have a lot of complicated elements to it that would kind of prohibit enjoyment or feel like you're always like kind of racing to catch up. Any flashbacks or flash forwards are very clear, and you know what's happening when that's going on. So anyway, that's kind of my first choice, and I did, like I said, I did do a separate video, so that'll be linked below. The next one I wanted to mention is Sunset Boulevard. This is one that's a little later in the kind of area when they were being made. This one stars Gloria Swanson and William Holden. Very well-known movie, won the Academy Award for it. It's a fading star that in Hollywood who kind of ends up being involved in this murder case, and it again is one that has a lot of the classic elements to it, and although it relies a little bit more on like knowledge of Hollywood or knowledge of other of those types of films, because I do feel like it gets a little bit muddled potentially otherwise, and just in general, period. But I do feel like it follows like a different kind of not it follows a different structure, but it follows kind of a more classic structure. So it'll be something that you're used to, kind of, you have a little bit of anticipation with where certain things should be, and although not everything is kind of where you'd expect or what you'd expect to happen will happen, it is familiar in that kind of classic movie way. So that would be one that I'd recommend. It has some really super iconic lines that I'm sure you've heard. I mean, I'm sure most people have seen Sunset Boulevard, but if you're just not somebody that watches black and white movies, I do think that this is a great one to start with, because it does have so many of like those cultural references that we do kind of that have worked their way into other places in life as well. And the third movie I want to recommend is Witness for the Prosecution. Now, this is one I haven't seen in a little bit, but again, I feel like it has like one of the best twists, I feel like, of the noir genre in general. Movies, though, just overall, I think it's got one of just a classic twist to it. It very much, it's a courtroom drama. It has quite a bit of like pacing quicker and more drawn out, more like slowed areas, like complicated elements to it, but done in a very kind of easy to watch way. And so again, if you're not like somebody that watches a lot of black and white films or classic movies, I feel like this is one that you'll appreciate and enjoy because they've also taken a lot of these elements and used them in more current movies. I feel like Witness for the Prosecution has a lot of that kind of staple where it's stuff that has been like lifted and taken and used very effectively in other movies as well. But that's one of the places it started, although I don't claim that they, you know, had all the ideas themselves, because I do think that those were just sort of classic elements of noir, but they did them. I feel like that movie did it best in the things that they did do that are kind of classic to the genre. And I also wanted to mention a book because I feel like noir does have some really great books, and again, if you're looking to just like kind of expand into the genre, I did talk about a bunch of different noir books in another video, but the one I think is like my favorite, my personal favorite, but also just again a really good place to start with noir is The Postman Always Rings Twice. Now this was made into a movie, but it was like totally butchered and really isn't the plot of the book, so the book is well worth reading because it is very, very different from the other kind of portrayals of it, and it is one of my favorite stories that way. It isn't a very long book. It's definitely one that you could finish quite quickly, so if you're not like super into long books, this is another great one. It's written by James M. Cain, who wrote tons of this kind of genre and also was the author of the original story for Double Indemnity. Just a great book. Again, set in LA. Or just outside of LA and at a restaurant, and it very, very interesting. You can like, I always find when I read James M. Cain that I'm like hearing like a very distinct voice, not just in the sense that the words have their own, you know, rhythm and melody, but also like I feel like I can actually almost hear the narrator or the person speaking it, because it does seem to be written in a way that you can like hear that cadence, if that makes sense, in the voice that is stylistically tends to be that noir style in the narration. So that's one that I really recommend, and like I said, you're not going to hear that story other places, so it's well kind of worth looking at because it is just an excellent, excellent story. So I'm going to leave it there for today. There's 4 noirs, 3 movies, and a book to choose from if you're new to noir, and let me know what you think if you end up watching any of this, or if you've seen any of this, or if you have any other suggestions for people that might not be familiar with noir. Let me know in the comments below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I've put out tons of movies I put out tons of videos this month, Monday through Friday, so there's lots to choose from. Like I said, quite a variety as well. But I'd love it if you subscribed and gave this video a like, and don't forget to leave that comment, and I'll see you soon. Bye!